What's happening? What's happening? Welcome back to episode 27, Superhero Academy. It's your boy, James Taylor. And today we're talking about ether. And it's a concept that I am not fully wrapping my head around yet, but I'm talking about it not only to help myself get my head wrapped around it, but because what I believe I discovered for myself, not for anybody else, but for myself, may help somebody who's listening or reading this at some point, because this will be up on the blog as well, or watching on the YouTube channel. So here we are, episode 27, and I am talking about the fifth element, ether. We've got air, fire, earth, and water. Obviously, a lot of these concepts are all over the place and in various different studies, philosophies, whatever, Hindu, Ayurveda, the Chinese use different elements, metal and wood, I know, are two of the changes that they made. But we're talking about ether today because the space. Ether is the space. And we're just going to talk in very simple layman's terms. And so if I say something that is incorrect, please, if you know better than me, please feel free to leave it in the comments or send me a message on the blog or whatever, and we'll get into it. Anyway, episode 27, and we're talking about ether because ether is the carrier as space. So even in this room that I have, the mouth, because ether is associated with the fifth chakra. It's associated also with the sound, so it comes from the primordial essence. The essence is the space, and so the ears have a big deal to do with that because the vibration. So for me, what I got, it wasn't anything that had to do with Ayurveda and Vata dosha and space and air and all these things. It was a little bit different. It was more on the level of what Nikola Tesla was talking about when he talked about ether as the carrier. Because if you look into it, ether in the body, creating different spaces in the body, and the breakdown or increase in ether in the body is a destruction of cell tissue. Because let's just say this, like the mind, our mind, not the brain, but our mind is made up of ether, right? It's this thing that is uncontrollable, is expansive, and needs space to exist. And that is completely in ether. You've got your digestive tract, which is empty and full at various times. The mouth, which creates the sound vibration, which you're hearing in your ears. The blood vessels, which host the nourishing blood, which moves to and from our body. The ether is a carrier for air, fire, earth, water. Ether as the space is a carrier for everything. Everything exists in the ether. Ether is essentially the space around us. And the way that Nikola Tesla talks about this, and so we're going to move away from the effects on the body, how it exists in the body, and those things, and we're going to move to the energetic way that Nikola Tesla was talking about it, to make use of the ether. And the way he described it alongside Vortex Math 369, the system in which this world as we know it was built. And so simply, ether is the carrier and provides the energy subtly, Subtley. It's the subtle essence that we're not paying attention to, but the essence that carries everything. For instance, the sound that you hear is being carried across into the microphone playing through your speakers on your computer through ether. Obviously, you've got electronics involved, electricity, and hey, 70% of our body is water, so it's a great conductor for electricity, frequencies, etc. Ether, being the space, provides the space necessary for energy to be circulated and moved around, because energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred and moved. You, as an antenna, remember, 70% water, 60-70% water, great conductor of electricity if, and this is where the Ayurveda, Vata dosha, how the ether affects the body, because what you're eating, how you're eating, what you're drinking, all of those things affect your body's ability to send and receive signals, internally and externally. Our senses are there to perceive what we get from the ether. When people say they want to attract abundance, they're doing this, they're doing that, affirmations, etc. And they want to put something out into the universe. What they are essentially saying is, I need to send out my frequency through the ether to do whatever. Now, that is a matter of force and not power. Power gives us a certain amount of, I wouldn't say control, but power allows us to do at will, is what power is. When you have power, you can do whatever you want. And force means you have to, it's completely different than power. When you are eating right, thinking right, speaking into the ether, what you listen to, how you believe, and then the torus field around the heart, your belief system based on your thoughts, which obviously we're talking about the transmission of signals. Thoughts are carried by the ether because it's the mind. We touched on that earlier. So the mind is ether. Ether makes up the mind, the space that holds the infinite mass that is the mind, which is uses the brain as the supercomputer for this vessel, made up of the other elements: air, fire, also known as desire, or the will to do, the ambition, etc., and earth as the body to host all of those processes. Ether being the space for which all those processes are contained inside of us. So ether inside, ether outside. Transmission of signals back and forth. Akasha, if you've heard that word, the spirit realm, is widely associated with ether, if not being also ether itself. And I'm just saying these things so that we get a good picture of ether's processes and how you can use it to your benefit. Ether, you being an antenna, going back to the antenna, we were just setting the stage for this, right? Ether, you being an antenna through thought into belief, which leads to body, the earth, action. So air, right? Air as the thought, hosting the process of thought, the space, ether, your breath, belief, action. And you won't do anything based on, like, you will do or not do based on how you believe. The ether responds to this. So by you drinking water, drinking juices, eating fruits, eating vegetables, eating of the earth at correct times, not overindulging, nourishment emotional nourishment through love, satisfying all the properties of your body to be the greatest antenna to send and receive frequencies through the ether. When we force through I am affirmations, we are saying that we are not this person we'd like to be, but those are not allowing us to create actions. We want to access the subconscious mind, which hosted by ether. Ether inside, ether outside means that who we are, what we do, what we believe. Basically, I am thought into spoken word, belief, action. Doing these things allows us to become the greatest antenna to send and receive signals into the ether, which allows that energy, because this is all energy, all energy that is being transmitted, which is why you do those mantras. That's why mantras are important. That's why different various yogic poses are important for inner ether, outer ether, all the same. And tapping into this knowledge can help you move forward into that state of abundance which you so seek. You must first thought into belief, into action. Ether responds to your antenna. So think about that. Whenever you come off of that healthy spree that you were just on, you stop transmitting that signal. You were on a certain frequency and you're off that frequency now. So the frequency that you're now emitting is completely different than the one that you were emitting before in the system of belief in abundance. Ether allows us to transmit whatever signal we want into ether, that space which holds everything else. I highly advise you to research ether on your own, even just a little bit. There are lots of YouTube videos with more diagrams than I care to put in my video, obviously here sitting in this chair. And these are the type of videos that I'm just going to do for a while. I don't really see myself getting into the super creative part. I think that this is where I sit most comfortably and to be able to talk on these subjects. So again, if I've said anything that is incorrect, please feel free to correct me in the comments. Let me know. Send me a message or write on the blog post. I would love to hear from you. And yeah, I mean, for me personally, how this hits me is just knowing that the antenna, what I'm putting out there by my actions, my words, what I'm speaking, how I'm saying it, all the energy being transmitted back and forth is exactly what creates the reality around us. And knowing that bit of information, it becomes essential that you become the antenna for what it is that you seek through whatever means necessary. Knowing that the ether as an element carries all of that. And once that ether is disturbed in the body, this is where you start to see various disturbances and things happening in the body. So the importance of ether in balance itself, outside and within, is very important as well. Anyway, hopefully that wasn't too much. We'll probably touch on this again because I know it's crazy information. Episode 27, Superhero Academy, talking about ether and utilizing it as an element to transmit, receive energy. And we'll be back soon.